Hey, Ava Rose finally made it in. Sorry that you didn't get any notifications on those previous videos. Well, what's planned for today, Ava Rose, is we're gonna make a slicker. We're making two slickers, one out of wood and one out of bone, and we're gonna see which one of these slickers may work better, kind of over time. But they both got to be rounded off and kind of sanded off to be smooth. These little notches here are gonna be chiseled out. That's a great question. So that's what's planned for today, Ava. Hopefully you'll stick around and hang out. Right now, I gotta sharpen these chisels to make sure they're prepared for that job, especially with the wooden one. I'm gonna use the bone one and the wooden one, and we'll see which one works better and is most comfortable and all of that good stuff. You turn that down. Oh, it sounds like I'm not mic'd. Sounds like I'm on an internal mic. Let me check and see if the mic's hooked up properly. Wow, I think of this mic jack may be coming to the end of its usable life. Check, 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 check. Let me know if that's working now. I kind of switched the direction of it. I got hands that shouldn't really be doing that. Let me know if that sound works there, please, folks. I actually probably can figure it out by turning my volume up. All right, good. Glad we're in. I'm going to sharpen these little chisels first here, or polish them. They're pretty sharp. I want to make sure that they're real sharp for this job. What we're going to do here is we're going to make a couple of, we're going to finish off a couple of these slickers. That's what these are called. They're used to burnish and flatten out leather. Sometimes they're made out of bone, sometimes they're made out of wood. I've seen them made out of metal. Plastic is a material they definitely use, but we all know plastic is everything is made of plastic. We need to get away from that, right? That is better. So, got a lot of leather stuff going on now. Probably need to get some more pelts, but that leather I was making, I don't know if you caught the live yesterday or the short this morning. I think it is looking fantastic. I'm sure some leather snobs could probably nitpick, you know. But for my first time, not too bad. Should I zoom in on the sharpening stone? Sometimes people like that. Hey, Carrie, welcome. Schmutz in there, guys. I'm gonna have to strop it. Oh, I don't have any leather around here, you know, to strop with. I won't be short of that for very long, will I? You may be right there. Ava says she feels like bone would take less effort to make the pelt smooth. So here's a piece of cannon bone that I've kind of cut into shape. It just needs to be smooth. You can't have any edges. Everything has to be rounded off. So it's like sanding most of it. Excellent point. So what we're doing today, in case you just popped in, is I'm sharpening these chisels to work on these two slickers that I made. I don't know if I'm going to use a chisel on the bone one. That messes up your chisels real bad. Chisels don't have the kind of steel. So here's a little bone slicker that it's very crude. It hasn't been rounded off yet. Made with a cannon bone here, and then Here's one that I started to make out of wood. You see I've got notches cut out here. This has to also be rounded off. You can't have, this is made out of maple, curly maple here. And then this is an ankle bone. Hopefully you saw that. What does the fox say? It says, get your chisels ready. Sorry, that's the worst. I just lost about 50% of my viewers doing that. It's like, I don't care. This one probably needs a cruder stone first. These little bitty mortise chisels mess up your sharpening stones because they put divots in your sharpening stones. I really don't. I try to not sharpen these. Not even use. I try to not use them as much as possible, actually. But this requires one of these because we're cutting these little notches out. Let us do this last one a couple more times. Drop these off. Take a little water here. Strop them off on some of this buckskin my cousin gave me years and years and years ago that I use for that. And back, I'm going to take some of that right now. There's already like metal sherds and stuff inside the stone, so I'm going to get those out. You can feel it just bites much more when it's got all that mess out of it. Mainly Off Grid. What's up, man? Love Mainly Off Grid's channel. He's got a mill, something I dream of having. I've always, that's like one of my bucket list dreams. So badly want to get me a mill. It's over. Once I get a mill, checkmate. It's over. But it also takes the man running the mill, right? It's over, Carrie. It's curtains. That's a wrap. You know what I mean? All of those things. Let's put a little piece of leather up here and strap this off here. Ow! Say no. Doesn't feel that sharp at all, actually. Hopefully they're okay for this job. Mainly Off Grid, you laughing at what that I said? Once I get a mill, it's over. Game's over. I'm gonna be the Justin Timberlake of timbers and lakes. You heard it here first, folks. Watch out, man. I got zany antics. Y'all saw yesterday my picture said "Psych its brains" on it. Come on. Who else does that? Who else does that? You can only find that kind of humorous humor every 5 hours on Calvin's channel. Dad's Workshop. My name's Calvin. It's Dad's Workshop, folks. That's where you're going to find that. Things like "Psych its brains." right? You like the owie sound. We got to treat the bone and the wood differently. This is going to have to be sanded a lot too. So this came from a piece of maple that actually was from a live edge slab that I had. It was just a scrap from it. Don't remember years ago. It would have been something I got more than 10 years ago. I don't even remember what I made. Oh, I did. I made this was part of the legs of a live edge burled spalted maple trestle table that I made. It's a little trestle table, not like a kitchen table, like a coffee table size that I made like at least 10 years ago. It sits in my parents' house now. I've had a couple offers on it and have not sold it. And that's not even to be arrogant. It's just a beautiful table because it's just part of the character of the wood is so astounding on it. The whole thing's got this awesome burl, and then there's spalting, and there's just so much going on in that wood grain. It's got so much personality. It draws attention. There would be a lot of things I would do differently if I made that table again. Carrie, I love the emojis. We can't have any edges, so no 90-degree or even close to it. They need to be rounded. All the edges need to be rounded off. Now, if I go this way, right, that's kind of a tricky way to approach wood. So I'm gonna change the orientation of the piece. This may be a job for carvers, because really and y'all know, and I don't know if anybody's ever told you, if I've ever said it, I hate carving. Hate it. I mean, I just know I'll cut myself. So that's how I defend my mind from it. I say, I hate it. I don't like it. It stinks and I don't like it, right? Because I know if I do it, dude, I'm just going to be in the hospital getting stitches. That's all it is. I'm good at sharpening tools now, but I think with some of those carving tools, they're actually hard to sharpen. And I would do it too much, sharpen, dull the tool, and then get cut by it while it's dull. In case anybody knows. Anybody who knows, knows. If you know, you know. IYKYK. DT, welcome. Welcome. Depression Talks. We're making a slicker right now so that we can finish leather and I love this word, burnish the leather. That means I kind of treat the edges or dress the edges properly. All of it has to be rounded off. Can't have anything square. So I'm going to turn this thing real quick and go downward in the grain. Kind of just as like a spike on it's easy to make with a lathe, by the way. If you're a lathe person, this is a lathe type job or a carving, right? Carving job. The other night, somebody's like, "Never the tool towards you," and I was like, "Yeah, except for in carving." Someone said that on Mike's channel. I think was it Mike or was it Wes's? Whoever said it was wrong. They were a woodworker or something, but they were wrong about that. When you're doing carving, the tool often has to be directed at you. But also, when you're doing woodwork, there is a tool that you do have to pull towards you. Actually, several, especially if you do Japanese tools. Pulled tools are all coming towards you, but especially the draw knife, even in Western woodworking. There's another knife that I want to get, and it's called a courier's knife. I never saw this like on Forged in Fire. They never made a courier's knife. They never made any of these leatherworking knives. I kind of think it's interesting. I thought they had gone through every knife that there is. But there's this knife called a courier's knife that has like a very sharply curved, almost crescent-shaped edge, and it's a lot of bevel to this edge so that it can only kind of cut like little pieces of threads of meat and stuff off of a pelt, right? On the flesh side of a pelt, you've got all these little threads and stuff that want to come up. Even later in the process of tanning, you have these threads coming up. So we're going to go all the way down. It's going to want to go down all the way through this thing, which is okay. Before, I was kind of taking my bandsaw and going along these edges, but I think what I'm going to actually do is go down through the grain. And I wonder if the best way to do that is like this, right? Do it like this. I'm going to tell you, I expected it to go further, like kind of take more. Definitely, this is a job for the lathe, but I'm not going to get a lathe and have a lathe mounting space, right? If I'm only going to do one job with it. But if you have lathes and you know leather workers, or you know you have there is a market for these, apparently, because I Googled it. Let's get down and dirty on this thing. You guys can't even see that well. It's like not even zoomed in that much. Spirit Wind. Glad to see you carving. That is awesome. Love woodwork, all kinds of it. And I have a lot of appreciation for carvers. So if anything I said was derogatory, that's not it. I have a lot of respect for carvers because I know I cut the mess out of myself. So this is a type of carving, but it's more like I'm kind of whittling. Yeah, wow, that was my blade sharpness on that chisel is unimpressive. It's okay, they're right there, but there's parts of this maple grain that are really difficult to work with. But I'm glad to find out you're carving while I like to work while I watch these type of live streams too. Thanks for being here, Spirit Wind. Avero says, sorry for not talking too much. I'm still getting used to chatting with y'all. A little warm up to chatting like last time. And if you, hey, take your time. Pelado, member, Pelado, friend of the program, says hello to Miss Heather before he says hello to me. Round here, round these parts, we don't take too kindly to that. As I spit tobacco into a can on the floor, I say, around here, we say hi to the men folks first. And then I spit into into a tobacco can again on the floor after I say that. We don't take too kindly to folks saying they don't take too kindly to stuff. How about that? Cover all your bases. Spittoon, there you go. That's it. I should have known that word. When I went to my grandfather's last cattle auction as a little boy, my grandfather's last cattle auction was a momentous event because he was pretty well known. The cattle auction he auctioned his cattle at is actually famous. I saw it on the Today Show a couple of years ago.
because it still does that, that stuff. And it's world famous. They sell a lot of cattle and livestock go through this auction house in Blue Earth, Minnesota. Shout out. And completely forgot my point. Oh, in the Blue Earth, and I don't know if they're still like that. Probably, because those country boys do dip a lot. In the Blue Earth cattle auction, there were big brass spittoons on the floor. It was like, has stadium like seating in a smaller building, and there were spittoons on the floor. It's pretty crazy, like the old West. Some things never change. Tap that like button though. What we're doing right now is building a slicker. It's a tool used for leather work, actually for leather making, for tanning. Um, Maybe in leather work too. I guess if you get unfinished leather, or you've bought some leather and you have to kind of work it still to get it to the consistency you need it for whatever good you're making, this would be a tool you would probably want. It's a really crude tool. It doesn't take a lot of making, I don't think, but you do have to make sure everything is rounded off. Hopefully everybody's having a great December so far. I always love early December. I think it's one of the happiest times of the year, like the end of May, the month of hope. Let's go back. Pilato said, just because you ignored my greeting to you doesn't mean it didn't happen, Calvin. Sorry. You're probably totally right, but it gave me an opportunity to like give you trouble. So, uh, Shashi husband, Hushan 5404, shout out, said, Sir, I need leopard nail. As soon as I figure that one out, or someone else does, we'll let you know. Definitely lots of energies, Carrie, but be specific. Unpack that for me. What energies are off the charts? Because I'm not going to say I disagree, because I think I agree. What energies? Carrie's intuitive. Watch out now. Here comes some stuff. She's going to learn you some stuff. She's going to learn you. Making a slicker. Just in case you didn't know what I'm doing right now. Carrie specified and said there are energies that are being created by our sun, and there are energies created from the earth. Yeah, take the burr off the chisel. Well, yeah, that's what you do when you strop. In fact, the polishing process, which is what I did. This one though has had a new edge put on it, so it's probably that it still just needs some more work on polishing, but it's not doing too bad. This is very hard maple. I've noticed even with sharp chisels, y'all know, you see it, it's peeling properly. It's just a matter of the wood, and then probably I could work on the 8,000 grit or the 1,000 some grit for a little while and polish it up a little more. But to get the burr and stuff off, you use a polishing stone, then put the sole plate down, work that, and then strop. That process is to get burrs off of there, right? Tiny piece of sherds of metal, I believe is what she's referring to. Carrie said, I will just be doing something and will feel them wash over me. You know, I can say that. If you're in touch, I think that's probably true. That is true. I recently heard that my brother is going, and I know there's no fear that he's watching this live stream whatsoever. Shout out Nick if you are though, that would be funny. I recently found out that my brother is attending a Quaker meeting house, and what Carrie just described is when she's feeling the energies move through her. You know, if you put it in a Judeo-Christian sense, kind of reminds me of Quakerism. My brother's like not a very religious guy. That's an understatement. Okay, so to find out that he was sitting in a circle of friends, and by friends I mean friends with a capital F, because they're like, that's what they call themselves. They're sitting in a group completely silent, waiting for the spirit to wash over them. The spirit washed over me. But I know we're talking about different, less conventional, right? You know, it's so funny. When I was a kid, when I was little, my dad said, you don't talk about three things. You don't talk about religion. You don't talk about politics. What was the other one? There's one more thing. What was and some other third thing. And don't get personal. Right? And actually, that would be the first thing sometimes. Like, never get personal with another man. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics. So basically, you don't talk about someone's looks or them personally. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about religion. Not saying that y'all shouldn't do all the talking about politics and religion you want. And the Great Pumpkin. There you go. So I'm putting these little notches in here so that if it needs to be burnished on the edge, or like flattened out on the edge, that's kind of what you use. This is way too big, so there's no way that's going to do anything. I'm going to have to just sand that down. The other side will probably look different on those. So yes, it will look corny a little bit probably. We're going to put these things to practical use and see which one. And I have the bone one over here too, which will get worked with just files and sandpaper basically. The bone one or the wooden one works better. Hopefully they both don't cause damage. You know, wood can do some damage to that. If you leave any kind of an edge or anything, it can definitely do damage to finished leather. I'm thinking about getting like finished. There's a guy around here with pretty cheap sheets of cherry and maple plywood. Really finished cabinet quality plywood. So I think I probably set up another bench where I can stretch pelts out on that, and it's clean. It's so dirty in here. It's just bad for leather. All those little particles and stuff can. It's my tools. My tools are suffering. Like the salt is like in the air too. So the salt I use to treat these animals, it's in the air. It's kind of done some damage to the ferrous metals in the room. By ferrous metals, I mean anything based on iron that's not stainless. And even stainless, sometimes the saline can be too much. As far as I know, I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think I got some stainless stuff out here that suffered. I want to get rid of all these edges. I'm getting woodworking numbers, not animal skins on my bench numbers. It's okay though. We have to do woodworking on here. course, the woodworking relates to leather work. That's how I roll. Everything ties in. Oh, that is not what you want to happen right there. Also, my bench. Today I noticed my bench, not this bench that I'm working on, but the bench I sit on that I built with this workbench is rocking. And so, like, I think that's a result of the moisture and the salt in there messing up the hardware in my bench. Also an argument for joinery. That probably wouldn't happen with joinery. Pelado said, gotta go. See you all next time. All right, whatever, man. You know, get out of here. Don't lose my tools so much. It's like, I'm just kidding. We love you, Pelado. Thanks for coming, man. Tom, Roy, everybody. Sorry. Let me get your name right. It's my ADHD doing stuff. ADHD doing too much. Roy, everybody, Pelado. Check out his channel. Got a lot of stuff going on. Plywood. It depends a lot on what grade your stainless is. Oh, thank you. That is good information that we all could benefit from. Yeah, yeah, people like that whole animal. They like the fur on, and that's the best numbers you get when you have a deer right here, right? And I'm sure it would be the same if you had a bear or some kind of big game that's interesting. My grandfather was everybody. This is my mom's dad. He lived in the same general area as my dad's dad, but in the town, he was renowned by all the kids and all the hunters in the town because he had a caribou rack in his house that he got when he was in Alaska in the Arctic Circle. So he, like, everybody wanted to see that caribou and the caribou rack and all that stuff. That was like big deal to them. Whereas probably in Alaska, it meant very little. It's like a parting gift. Here, we'll take you out and you get one of those, because he got it himself, but he was probably heavily guided by his literally his Eskimo friends, because my grandfather taught at the school up there in Kotzebue, which is way up in the Arctic Circle, if you look it up. The notches are for burnishing, but I didn't do these right. The notches are for burnishing. Maybe Ava Rose can explain what burnishing is. I'm not, it's kind of like dressing the edges of a piece of leather. It's like if you're on a post, right? You put it against a piece of wood. You press it in that notch, it's going to shape the edge out in that shape. So if I have a sharpened edge piece of wood there, and I take this piece out and I hold it, I have the leather in that spot on the edge, I can draw this thing across it, right? Theoretically in the notch, and it'll shape that edge, just like, and then it's probably cut off there. Yeah, that's fair. Thanks, Ava, for not overstepping what you know. We appreciate that here. So if there's let's pretend this is the board, right? You have your leather stretched over the top here. You would take this thing right here, and the edge is probably going to get sacrificed in this case. You would put this on there, and you would drag it around this, right? And it would put a burnished edge, a kind of styled edge on the leather that you could cut around, right? Otherwise, this thing is used, a slicker is used to flatten out leather. Does that make sense? It's an important tool. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. I would have skipped it. And with the edges that I'm noticing on my last piece of leather, I'm realizing that how you treat the edges is going to be real important. And also, there's a lot of trick to making the leather high quality that comes in right at this point when you're kind of oiling it. I may have over oiled it a little yesterday for one thing, right? Mike's in the place. We'll back the camera out a little because I don't think they like it up here too much. We're also at lunchtime too. This time kind of slows down a little bit. You don't want any edges, probably not even on the back. This is something you definitely use a lathe to make in just a few minutes. It could be made in a lathe probably. They make things that look like this all the time. I've heard some of the turners on YouTube calling them Christmas decorations. I'm tending to think it's just stuff they messed up that they call a Christmas decoration. But yeah, some of this is basic little spindles, right, with a needle tip on it. That's kind of what you need. Then the notches help you so you can do the burnishing on the edges. Yep. It's a little uneven right here. Perfect time to do woodwork when I need to, right? No edges. That's what you want. No edges. At least if it's scraping. What I want right here is I want like a graceful little ridge. And that lip can't be sharp either because I don't want anything grabbing. I don't want any biting happening where the wood grabs the leather or whatever. I want it to slick right over it. I might oil this too. I was looking at some of the ones I saw online. I was like, I think that this as a finished piece of wood would probably be better. Finished with very fine sandpaper and then a oil that is fully sunk in by the time you use it, because you don't want to be adding any oils to, especially not the stuff you use on wood. The oils you use on wood are not the type of oils you want to use on leather generally. Boiled linseed oil, tongue oil, those kind of things. Even beeswax. It's not what you really want to use on leather. Oh yeah, sandpaper and file, but the sandpaper and file is going to be on the bone one. That's the bone one that I made. So we can switch over to that one real quick, but let me sand this one real quick because I need to make sure that it is. That's actually not bad right there. I was worried that it would be ridiculously asymmetrical, you know, and kind of ugly, but it's not too bad. These little dark bits in this maple are very hard. Have a different behave different than the areas around it. Something I notice when I'm doing woodwork and try to take mental notes of is when I'm using a piece of wood, what is its character and how is it behaving. Wouldn't it be good to like press down on the wood to compact, if that makes sense? I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Press down on the wood to compact it. Could be something I said a minute ago. So forgive me, Ava, if I'm responding to something that's not, or responding wrong to something that I already said, because I'll forget. I'll get past something I said, completely forget I said it. I had what do you call it? A cannon bone that I had kind of sanded into this knife shape. I thought that may work for this, but it was just so wonky the way I did it. I thought I would just start over. You want everything smooth on this. It's kind of like the opposite of a knife. You don't want any sharpness on it. You want it to actually just press leather down, and you press it down and it pushes the leather, its grain down, opens up. It's for breaking your leather, right? And by breaking, I mean you're working the leather with oils and fatty liquor after the leather's come out of its tanning process. It's moist, and you have to work it until it dries, or it'll end up like rawhide. So what you're trying to do in this process, I'm not going to add anything but maybe a little water to the hide on the edges. I'm going to take this tool and just run it over the edges, especially where there's, I did this yesterday by hand for a long time. Hours. I should probably not mess with those spots too much. I just want to make sure they don't bite down on any wood or anything like that. And then make sure all the dust is off that, because you don't want to be applying dust. That's pretty close to what you would see a slicker look like. I felt like the ones I saw weren't the right size for my hand. So maybe I'll work this spot right here. It looks like it could be sanded a bit. Kind of like a knife, but not sharp at all. It's the opposite. It's rounded everywhere. So it's just going to press the object down in a somewhat uniform way, right? As opposed to fingers. You actually leave fingerprints in the leather. Something I noticed yesterday. So this is going to press that leather down towards the edges. And then these little notches would be for burnishing. It would go over, like my fleshing beam, we'll call it that, is actually more of a different tool they use in leather when they put it over the edge, and you have this shaped out edge. And I'm going to do some of that as time goes on here too. All right, here is the bone one here. Kind of, it's more fragile, so you got to be, oh, see, look, I just broke it. Never mind. There you go. There's my highlight for the day. That's the ones they love the most. I put too much pressure on it. There you go. So now I'm going to be able to do that. I'm not going to take this bone and do it. I could use my other one, but I'm not going to take this bone and do it, because this is my scraping bone. It actually fleshes really well, and I don't want to mess that up. So we'll just use the wooden one for now. Right? Back the camera up for a second. I got plenty to do here. Lots of like little chores I need to do here. Oh, somebody sent 50 joules. Thank you. Slicker. That's how it's spelled. That's correct. I got to flesh some hides here real quick. And not real quick. Like, I got to flesh some hides, period. So if you have viewer discretion, always advised with that. I got to take some of these raccoon hides, get some more fat off of them. That is not a job for the slicker. That's a job for a fleshing knife, or the scraping tool that I made, which works really well for that also. We got, yeah, and I got your name last time. Michigan Gun's what I'm going to call you. You ever just stick a piece of rebar in the vise and run your hides back and forth on it? No, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't do that, Michigan Gun. Because the ferrous rebar, unless you got like galvanized rebar, it's ferrous. It's going to leave fragments of metal in your hide, and those are going to react to the tannins, at least that I use, by turning black and ebonizing. So you kind of want to keep ferrous metals away from your hide. I mean, I'm not saying it's not done. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I'm sure there's guys that do that. If you're maybe if you're using the whole pelt hair on, probably doesn't matter as much. I've got some spots you can see. I can show you in a little bit where metal reacted to my pelts. Yes, like the nail mark in that one hide. Precisely. That's what I was just talking about. Exactly. Yep. It's like all the nails I got in this hide right here, all galvanized, so no rusting. And they won't leave black marks in the hide when you tan. Tannins react to ferrous metals by ebonizing. It's a chemical reaction. It's not really a dye. It's used when people do woodwork and they what do you call it? Use stainless. When they ebonize wood, they put apple cider vinegar and steel wool together. Don't make me think so hard, y'all. It's all y'all's fault, making me think so hard. Boop. Gun dog, man. Gun dog. We'll call you that, man. I'll get it right now. Gun dog. Gun dog. This got a lot of salt on it. But what I gotta get out of this, guys, is I gotta get more of the fat off of it. I'm gonna take a different approach to these furs, which part of it is gonna be doing less of it, right? I'm gonna be doing less furs because they are kind of difficult to tan. I enjoyed the tanning of the leather kind of more than I expected. I could keep this fat and render it and use it for re-moisturizing the hide if it didn't have so much salt in it. I don't think it would it's gonna work with all that salt in it. The other thing they use, like you get a certain texture of your leather, right? So if I pull it over the end of this beam, like my hide that's finished over there, it's going to stretch it out and rip the grain out and actually not destroy it, but it's going to make it into a thinner leather texture. So whatever we do to the leather once it's out and you're drying it is almost permanent. But you can always go back and you can try to redo steps. And there's like a lot of time throughout the tanning process you can go backwards. Like I think once you started to dry it and add moisturizers, that may be like the exception. You know, I'm still learning though, Gun Dog. You know, that's the only reason I wouldn't use rebar, and also rip right through your leather too, and rip the grain. I can tell you, it will for sure do that. But PVC, you can run it over, right? And it won't rip. So find a smaller PVC pipe. That may be the way to deal with that. There is people who say the scraping should be done like this, kind of diagonally on a diagonal surface. These Moroccan guys, man. This is an old, we've been doing this for 400,000 years as humans. A lot of different practices have happened with these hides over the last 400,000 plus years. Camera seems a little close. All right, we'll back it up a little. See if that's better. Yeah, see that? Some of the subdermal tissue is just real stubborn. But you got to get, I should have taken that advantage right there to actually get up under that with my fingers. I need to actually wash my hands off and put gloves on so I don't get dried out by the salt. My zipper is hitting the mic. Okay, we'll take care of that as well. Man, all these Thank you all for all of your technical assistance. Got to figure out a way to put my mic on if I don't have an apron, right? Okay. Zipper is hitting the mic. Put it right in my throat area. Mic check. Sound check. Yeah, all right? Good? All right. All right. Hold on. What did I say I was going to do? Y'all have me distracted. Don't make me do too many tasks at once. I don't have Pilato here to help me out. I don't have somebody boringly methodical around here. Would just bore you to tears but get the job done like Pilato. Just kidding. Do that in case he's just listening here, just still listening in the background, seeing if I'm talking trash. I mean, definitely if you met Pilato, you wouldn't guess that he was a skydive instructor. No, it wouldn't be your first guess. So you'd be shocked to find out he was a skydive instructor, wouldn't you? Bungee jump instructor. He knows he's being trashed. Trash is being talked about him right now. Oh, Carrie just left, so I could have talked trash. We could have talked trash about Carrie. Instead, we picked Pilato. Just kidding, Carrie. We wouldn't talk trash about you. We love you too much. We know you wouldn't. Pilato, he kind of deserves it. It's different. He has it coming, All his dad jokes and all that stuff. Gag me with a spoon. Oh my gosh. So there's fat up under that skin there. I'm going to collect that. That sound gross? Because it doesn't have salt on it. So I'm going to collect that in something. I need to find a cup back here that doesn't have something that does not have salt in it. Because what that is basically tallow. And that tallow can be used to re-moisturize this hide or other hides. So I need to get up under this skin right here for sure. And get that up so I can get that fat off before it gets grease burned, which I have another hide that I have in the pickling solution right now has a hole in it from grease burn. Literally, there's like a couple millimeters of like tallow under that tissue there. Guess that's what keeps the raccoons warm, man. It may be that this gets into a brine and that stuff loosens up a little bit. Or maybe I need to salt it better so that'll free itself from the hide a little easier. Like that's what's coming out from under that. So it's not bad. It's not like bad smelling. It's just fat. And apparently that needs to be addressed because I need to get up under all that tissue. It's different on other animals. Apparently this area is not as fatty. Yeah, there we go. That's what we got to do. All right. Y'all see I got a hold of it there a little bit. But like I said, tape, right? We want to keep all the edges together if we can. It may not work. It's not going to scrape as well as pull here. That's why I'm trying to get an edge. Yeah, kind of gave up a little bit there. Yeah, definitely. It's well salted up there. You can see it's peeling away like paper. But down here, it's like hasn't that salt hasn't really done what it needed to do, I think. He uses them. I can't answer your question. Thanks for. Yeah, please do feel free to yap. Gun Dog said, "Do you make anything out of your hides?" We are gonna make stuff out of the hides. Have you seen Gun Dog? Have you seen my brown leather that I made? I got a short. I probably shouldn't pull it out now and show off, and I also don't want to get salt on it, which I have on my gloves. But I finished a hide. I mean, it's still got to be kind of treated and babysat for a couple of weeks probably, but the hide's been in the tannins for a month. And I finished this hide, and it is going to be really good for a number of things. I think my first thing would be some moccasins or some like mucklucks, some warmish boots, or some moccasins I can kind of wear in the warm weather that are easy to get on. That's kind of like what I want with that leather I've got so far. But also, we have a bunch of projects kind of lined up. An apron. I need a leather apron for out here, especially when you're using blades and stuff. You want to have a nice leather apron. Gross. Look at that. Also, the texture of the subdermal fat that I'm removing right now, and I'm not trying to gross anyone out. This is educational. The texture of it is like the same as marrow or brain. It's a cottage cheesy texture. Doesn't have any smell. There's no bad smell or anything right now. There's some muscle tissue here that needs to move, needs to get out of my way so I can get the fat under it off. The hide needs to be clean beyond that. May need to be resalted here, and that's the problem. Is this might free itself up when I salt it again, when and if here, and that's what probably needs to happen. Probably needs to be resalted. Problem is, if it warms a little bit in here and that grease wants to act on the hide, you can end up with grease burn and stuff like that. And I want those alum, if I'm using alum, right? I want it to get, see, I might have damaged the skin right there a little bit. I hope not. I can't go much sharper than this, guys. You don't want to do that, really. I think it's got to be resalted. Oh, I can almost get my finger in there. Uh-oh. Nope. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, it's going to be giving me difficulty. So what I think I should do is scrape what I got here and then salt this thing and roll it back up, or salt it and splay it back out again. And let that salt work on that tissue right there. This is all fat right here. You might have to degrease this hide. Like, it might have to be put into a pickle bath for a long time and scraped over and over again. It's a lot of fat. Yeah, I'm gonna salt it again. I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull that whole, basically that whole sheath of muscle. like I did yesterday or the day before on that other hide, I was able to peel that whole sheath off, right? It's not coming off as easily here. So what I'm going to do is salt this hide. I'm not worried about it kind of being on that schmutz. I'll put some alum on there too. I'm going to mix some alum in with this salt. It's a food safe aluminum salt that's used for pickling. This one's actually from Walmart. I don't mind telling you that. I'm going to start moving away from this type of tanning into just tanning. But to keep the fur, you got to do that. You got to watch my 1 o'clock what? What does resulting do? Yeah, that's cool. Gundog said, I'm good at skinning and fleshing, which is good. Two good skills to have. And then he says he's learning the different tanning methods. And there's a lot of different tanning methods. I think that you can combine them a little. That's what I did on my last tan hide, which I'll show you in a minute here. Most important thing here is salt. I think this thing is not salted well enough. I didn't get the salt way into there. I'm going to roll it up. I want it to really absorb the salt because I think that's going to help me get that muscle off there. And then I can get at that fat that's under it. I got to get that off or it's going to grease burn. It's not going to tan well. Not going to tan evenly. All the way to the edges here. You want a nice thick layer. And you can always see the cool thing about tanning is you can kind of go backwards and do this. If you have stuff that's greasy and you need to go back and reset, my understanding is you can go back and do all of this stuff over again. Take it out of the tanning bath and resalt it. I'm going to do that with some hides that are in the tanning bath inside. They're going to come out. I'm going to resalt them and dry them out again and start over. Or I'm going to go to brain tanning with them, right? So it's going to have it's going to be a different technique kind of mixed with what they've already started, which is tanning and bark tannins. Oh, I got to do that. I do the tail here. All right. I make sure you do the tail too. I've learned a lot by deboning tails too. I could probably make a video on that. That would have some value. Maybe Gundog probably knows a little bit about that, how the tails behave, right? The tails will easily, you can kind of flesh them and end up with like about this much of the tail, but the end, unless you're real careful with your knife, is going to always stay on the spine, which is part of the tail is part of the spine. So I'm going to do that other raccoon pelt without even scraping it. I'm just going to resalt it because I don't think it's salted enough. Kind of get an idea of size difference between male and female here, right? As I mentioned before, this is a female here. Somebody comes up with a good way to save salt like that falls off, that is like a huge waste factor that goes along with this. All right, I'm going to let those salt. Then I'll hang them back up when I think they've stayed rolled up for a little while. Yeah, the deer tail responded the same. I actually put the deer tail in I put the whole thing with the tail in a pickle solution for a while and then did the tail like 2 days ago or something. Maybe that was yesterday. I don't remember. But yeah, it's really easy. For me, I just stick a stick in there. Same way I do, like similar to the way I do a deer antler. Around the antler burr, you put like a screwdriver in there and you hit it to free it up from the free it up from the skull. I'm gonna put these pelts over here and rinse my hands off real quick and show y'all the brown leather that I've made that is finished. And I don't know if I want to put it on that post with any salt on there. Make this stuff disappear real quick. My original idea, actually, besides the I have a bunch of chores I can do for tanning and stuff, but I'm not going to sit on live all day just to grab a few people. I have probably some of them would be better done off of live, where I can do things with more integrity. I don't want salts on here so bad. Do not want salts. So that's the leather right there. My brother asked me this morning when I sent him the picture. He's like, "What dyes did you use?" I said, "I didn't use any dyes, man. That's from tree tannins, bark tannins." Yeah, road salt. Only problem with the road salt is can damage the grain side. So here's the grain side of this leather right here. I don't think I used any like ice cream salt on this, but that's the only recommendation against ice cream salt, which doesn't have iodide, but can damage this side here when you're scraping, right? If you're scraping the pelt, the salts can rip the skin. So that's the only thing you're worried about there. So Carrie says she got to run, but love you all. We love you too, Carrie. Thank you so much. And Ava Rose said genuinely amazing hide. I think it looks great. I watch a lot of videos and read some stuff too, a lot of stuff, quite a bit of stuff. And I'm trying to find fault in it. The only fault I would find is there's a couple areas where the grain is ripped along the edges and so forth, and that it may be a little over oiled, but it doesn't feel like it now. It's starting to want me to like work it again, and the oils have sunk in. It's fairly dry. It feels like a leather jacket, texture right now, or a glove. Looks like it's going to be really warm. It's nice and thick. The tannins, oak tannins and wood tannins do a great job of helping your leather stay thick. So part of what I did yesterday was with my fingers do what this what we call this tool again. It just escaped my mind what this tool is called. But this is used to flatten the leather out, and you can see it has those like alligator pores on it. So those would be, if you pressed hard enough with this, you get rid of those as well, and it would flatten out to the way that you see the edges here. I did that with thumbs though. I just worked the edges out with my thumbs, and then you want to open the grain. Hopefully y'all can see. You can see it getting lighter when you pull on it. And when you do that, and then you apply more moisturizer, right? You're adding more softness to the pelt as you're doing that. A tail pulling tool, says Gun Dog. Yeah, I've never heard of that, man. That's pretty cool. But there's like an invention. That's why we're great humans. We come up with awesome tools for everything. That's kind of our thing, isn't it? So that's my brown leather. I'm going to round it off here soon, so all the little scraps on the edge are going to come off. It's going to be pretty much a square. But yeah, it's a solid piece of leather. Super happy with how it came out, especially since it was my first one. Tanning is not easy, but it's also not super difficult. It's just very laborious. So if you are going to do it, you have to dedicate enough time to it right off the break, or you will ruin stuff. You'll waste stuff for sure. Got a lot more stuff I can do today, but I will say goodbye for now to everybody. Appreciate everybody. Oh, wow. It's like a whole mounted tool and such. I'm looking them up. Yeah, it does suck the bone tool snap, but we'll make another one, Ava Rose. I've got more bone, and I saved the ankle bones pretty well. We'll find, I've got another piece of bone inside that could probably be used, and I got one over there, I think. But yeah, there may even be a way to salvage this. They're not much bigger than this, the ones I've seen. So yeah, everybody pop back through. Check out my shorts. Make sure that you join the channel, become a member, consider becoming a member. We appreciate all our members. Like this video by double tapping the screen. My name is Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. We are always around. Drop us a comment, ask a question. Appreciate y'all. And we will see you all next time. Yeah, y'all have an amazing day too. We will do the, yeah, probably. AI probably already made that a short, but we'll see whether that happened. If they didn't, I'll make a short out of it. See y'all.